Have you ever paused to consider how much time you spend consuming personal development content, reading books, watching videos, listening to podcasts, yet somehow you feel like you're constantly stuck in the same loop, repeating the same patterns? Because if we really dig into it, sometimes the very things we're told are supposed to empower us, the common wisdom, the accepted truths about self-improvement, are actually the ones keeping us trapped. And understanding that, the subtle but powerful lies we've been told and have internalized, changes absolutely everything. I know that feeling of frustration, of working hard on yourself but not seeing the needle move. It's not because you're lazy, or not smart enough. It's often because you're operating under a set of assumptions, a collection of false narratives, that subtly sabotage your genuine efforts. You're trying to build a new life on shaky foundations. Today, I'm not here to give you quick fixes or empty motivation. I'm here as a friend who's been there, who spent years trying to figure it out, to expose 7 common lies about personal development that are silently holding you back from real, lasting change. This isn't just theory, it's what I've learned through my own trials and errors. Are you ready to truly see the truth, even if it feels uncomfortable at first? Let's dive into the first lie: you need to follow trends or copy what's popular to succeed. Think about it. How many times have you scrolled through social media, seen someone doing well, and thought, I should do that too? I spent years doing it. I remember when I first started creating content. I'd see what was trending, what kind of videos were getting views, and I'd try to replicate it. I was so focused on external validation, on what they were doing, that I completely forgot about what I could bring to the table. I was an ambulant billboard, carrying other people's ideas, without ever developing my own unique voice. And I felt completely drained, totally inauthentic. But here's the undeniable truth: repertoire is your only true competitive advantage. Your unique mental archive is the one thing no one can copy. Equipment, algorithms, trends, they're all temporary and easily replicated. But your unique blend of experiences, knowledge, and perspectives? That's gold. So, how do you build this mental archive, this fruit salad of ideas that makes you unique? It starts with intentional input. Stop consuming just to react. Start consuming to understand, connect, and transform. Read widely, observe deeply, cultivate genuine curiosity. Don't just read books in your niche, explore philosophy, history, science, art. Watch documentaries, listen to diverse podcasts. The goal isn't just consumption, it's about making creative connections that nobody else can. Now, let's talk about the creative collage. Once you have these diverse inputs, the magic happens when you start mixing them. Imagine your mind as a box of crayons. Most people only use 3 or 4 colors. But what if you started combining them in new ways? I started journaling not just about my day, but about how a concept from a philosophy book connected to a business strategy, or how a historical event mirrored a current social trend. This is how original ideas are born, not by inventing something entirely new, but by creating unique combinations from existing knowledge. It's like a mental cross-pollination. Don't be afraid to connect seemingly unrelated dots. That's your unique fingerprint. But here's the kicker: the fourth act of this lie: even if you build this incredible repertoire, there's the courage of authenticity. How do you dare to use your unique voice when everyone else is doing something different? It's terrifying. When I finally started speaking my truth, sharing my unique perspective instead of echoing others, I faced criticism. People didn't get it at first. But guess what? The people who did get it, they stayed. They became my community. It's a scary leap because when you fail doing it your way, the blame is all yours. But when you succeed, the victory is uniquely yours too. It means being a trend creator, not a replicator. It's choosing to be misunderstood for who you are, rather than celebrated for who you aren't. It's empowering because you're no longer seeking validation. This leads us to another major lie that silently sabotages our path to success. What if your relationship with money is one of those lies, keeping you stuck in a never-ending cycle of proving your worth? The second big lie is, financial success is about extreme saving or lavish spending, and material possessions define your worth. How many times have you heard that you either need to be a minimalist monk or a high-rolling spender? Or perhaps that the only way to show you've made it is through flashy cars and designer clothes? I used to swing between these extremes. For a long time, I believed saving every penny meant I was responsible, but I felt deprived. Then, I'd overcompensate, buying things I didn't need just to feel a fleeting sense of success. Neither felt right, and both kept me in a cycle of anxiety. The real lie here is that these external behaviors define your internal state of wealth. Here's the fundamental balance. True financial wisdom isn't about saving or producing, it's about producing wealth and managing it wisely. It's about a mindset that understands both sides of the coin. You can't just save your way to freedom if you're not also actively generating more value. And you can't just produce a lot if you're constantly bleeding money on things that don't serve your growth. So, let's talk about the 3 financial pillars: where to invest first. Forget about the latest gadget. Prioritize buying time, by delegating or automating tasks, ensuring your health and quality of life, because a burnt-out mind can't create wealth, and having clear, meaningful goals before you splurge on trivialities. When you invest in these pillars, you're building a foundation that truly supports long-term wealth, not just temporary satisfaction. This brings us to the validation trap. We live in a world that constantly tells us our worth is tied to what we own. But pursuing external validation through material goods is a bottomless pit that will always keep you poor. I've seen countless people, myself included, buy things they couldn't truly afford, not because they needed them, but because they wanted to project an image of success. That fancy car, those branded shoes, they don't add an ounce of intrinsic value to who you are. They're just another form of being an ambulant billboard, signaling a false identity. This trap drains your finances and your soul, leaving you empty and perpetually chasing the next thing. You become enslaved to the opinions of others, constantly trying to keep up. The way out is through the production mindset, anchoring your value in yourself, not in objects. This is the mindset that allows you to create wealth without depending on social validation. It means understanding that your real worth comes from your skills, your knowledge, your character, and your ability to create value for others. When you truly embody this, you no longer need external symbols to prove anything. You produce because it's aligned with your purpose, and you manage your resources intelligently because you respect the value you create. It's about building a life of true freedom, not just financial freedom that's tied to fleeting approval. But even with a clear understanding of money and self-worth, a powerful, silent force can still derail your progress. What if the stories you tell yourself, the very explanations you use to make sense of your world, are the biggest lies of all? Here's the third insidious lie: your current abilities or past experiences define what you can or cannot achieve. We all do this, right? We tell ourselves stories like, "I'm just not a morning person," or "I'm bad with money," or "I'm not creative." These aren't just thoughts, they're internal narratives, explanations we construct to make sense of our world and justify our actions, or lack thereof. And they are incredibly powerful. This is the foundation. Personal development is fundamentally about your perception of the world. Your internal explanations 100% determine your actions. If you believe you're not a morning person, you won't even try to wake up early. If you believe you're bad with money, you'll avoid managing it. I used to tell myself I wasn't good at public speaking. That narrative kept me silent for years, even though I had valuable things to share. My explanation became my reality. This ties into the repertory expansion we talked about earlier. A limited repertoire creates limited explanations. Imagine someone who grew up in a tiny village in India where the only roads are dirt paths. Their internal explanation for transportation would be entirely based on those dirt paths. They wouldn't even conceive of highways or airplanes unless their mental archive, their repertoire, expanded to include those concepts. Similarly, if your mental archive of experiences and knowledge is limited, your explanations for why things are the way they are will also be limited. You'll say, "It's impossible," because your mind can't yet draw connections to how it could be possible. Expanding your repertoire, therefore, directly expands your realm of possible explanations and, consequently, your potential actions. Now, this is crucial: you become good. Many of us make decisions based solely on who we already are or what we already know. We say, "I can't do that because I'm not X," or "I don't have Y experience." This is a massive lie that paralyzes action. The truth is, you don't need to be good to start, you start to become good. It's the principle of progress versus preparation. The act of doing, even imperfectly, is what builds skill and confidence, not endless preparation. I waited for years to feel ready to share my insights online, thinking I needed perfect clarity or the perfect script. But the real clarity came through the act of doing. You don't decide based on what you are, you decide based on who you want to become, and then you start taking steps to get there. So, how do you build good explanations, explanations that give you clarity for action instead of paralysis? It's about challenging those limiting internal narratives. Instead of saying, "I wasn't born for this," reframe it as, "I don't have experience yet, but I can learn." Instead of, "I'm bad with money," try, "I'm learning to be smarter with my finances." This simple shift, from fixed identity to growth-oriented potential, unlocks tremendous power. It means you're not defined by your past or your current perceived limitations. You're defined by your willingness to learn, adapt, and act. The stories you tell yourself are the most powerful forces in your life. What if you chose to tell stories that empower you, rather than keep you chained to old patterns? What if those stories were the ultimate key to unlocking real transformation? So, we've journeyed through some powerful truths today, exposing 3 of the most pervasive lies that keep us stuck in the same place when it comes to personal development. We started by dismantling the myth that you need to follow trends or copy others, revealing that your unique repertoire is your true superpower. Then, we challenged the conventional wisdom about financial success, demonstrating that real wealth comes from producing and managing wisely, not from seeking external validation through possessions. And finally, we confronted the most intimate lie of all, the self-limiting narratives that define what you can or cannot achieve, shifting the focus from who you are to who you are becoming. These aren't just isolated insights, they're interconnected threads in the fabric of a truly authentic and empowered life. The confusion, the feeling of running in place despite all your efforts, often stems from operating under these deeply ingrained, often unconscious, false narratives. You're not stuck because you lack potential, you're stuck because you're fighting an invisible battle against beliefs that aren't serving you. And look, I'm not here to tell you that magically, overnight, all your problems will disappear. That's another lie in itself, the one that sells you on instant gratification. Real transformation is a journey, sometimes a messy one, filled with unlearning and rebuilding. But when you consciously choose to challenge these lies, when you arm yourself with clarity and practical frameworks, you don't just feel better, you start to act differently. And acting differently, consistently, is what creates real change. I've been there, I've believed these lies, and I'm still actively unlearning others. It's an ongoing process, not a destination. But the moment I started to question these ingrained beliefs, the moment I decided to step into my own authentic truth, even when it was scary, that's when my life truly began to shift. You have the power to do the same. You have the power to choose what stories you believe, what inputs you consume, and what path you walk. The clarity you've gained today is a powerful tool. What will you build with it? Now, after unveiling these profound truths, let's take a moment for a deeper reflection. The true cost of believing these lies isn't just stagnation, it's the quiet erosion of your potential, the silencing of your unique voice, and the constant feeling of chasing a life that isn't truly yours. It's living as a reflection of others' expectations, rather than radiating your own authentic light. Think of all the brilliant ideas, the unique contributions, the genuine connections that remain unmade because of these invisible chains. You are not alone in this journey. In fact, countless individuals are waking up to these very same realizations, challenging the status quo, and choosing a path of authenticity. We are building a community of people who are committed to real transformation, not just superficial motivation. This isn't about quick fixes or a momentary burst of inspiration. It's about laying down a solid foundation, brick by brick, for a life that is truly aligned with your deepest values and aspirations. It's about playing the long game, building something that endures. I challenge myself every single day to stay true to my unique path, to continue building my repertoire, to anchor my worth internally, and to craft empowering narratives. It's not easy, and I stumble often. But the beauty is in the conscious effort, in the continuous choice to align with truth. I invite you to embark on this journey with the same courage and commitment. The inevitable awakening isn't just a concept, it's a living process that unfolds when you choose awareness over ignorance, action over paralysis, and authenticity over imitation. It comes from daring to ask difficult questions and being open to the answers, even if they shake your world. Your transformation is not just possible, it's inevitable when you consistently choose the path of truth, one conscious action at a time. Understanding these lies is just the first, crucial step. Knowledge without action is just information, and you deserve real change. If this video resonated, I invite you to actively participate in your own transformation. Tell me, out of these lies we discussed today, copying trends, the trap of external financial validation, or the power of self-limiting narratives, which one hit hardest? What's one belief you're ready to challenge, or one new perspective you'll embrace starting today? Share it in the comments below. Let's connect, learn, and support each other. If you're serious about real transformation, not just temporary motivation, subscribe and join our community. This is where we build something truly real, together.